fired! Xeno Crisis.
The Evercade console is one that is focused on retro games. Plenty of classic games from the 8-bit and 16-bit eras of gaming by major names like Atari, Namco, Interplay and others are all available on the system. One of the major appeals for me when picking up an Evercade though was its focus on physical releases of modern retro games, namely indie titles designed for older platforms or with a retro style in mind. And that's where a game like Xenocrisis enters into things. Created by Bitmap Bureau, this Mega Drive title has you blasting all manner of enemy aliens in a top-down arena shooter where you fight your way from room to room across the different levels. If you're thinking of games like Smash TV, then you're in the right area. The game pits either yourself or you and a fellow recruit in the co-op mode against otherworldly enemies inspired by franchises like Alien. You can play as one of 2 unnamed Space Marines and work your way through 7 different levels. Each one includes a number of enemies of varying levels of difficulty with a boss battle at the conclusion of most of the levels. Xenocrisis works as a twin-stick shooter, and as the Evercade doesn't have twin sticks, it instead uses a system of the D-pad moving your fighter around, while the A, B, X and Y face buttons on the controller determine your direction of gunfire. If you hold 2 buttons down at the same time, such as X and Y, then you can shoot in diagonal directions. The L button works to perform a roll and avoid enemies or fire coming your way, something that becomes an essential skill to learn the further into the game you progress, while the R button will throw out the relief of a grenade, presuming that you have any of course. Now while I think a twin stick setup would be the optimal way to play a game like this, I didn't really have any issues using the Evercade VS controller to play this game. And after playing it for quite a while, it's fair to say that Xenocrisis is a very absorbing and addictive game. The graphics, sound effects and overall soundtrack are all top notch. Cutscenes are simple but very nicely drawn, and the game doesn't suffer from any slowdown, as at points there are tons of different foes all on screen at the same time. Quite frankly, everything runs so smoothly it's hard to believe this was designed for the Mega Drive. Now while this is a very addictive experience, the game itself is also rather punishing. This has to be without question one of the hardest games on the Evercade. An easy or hard difficulty option is presented to you upon booting up the game, but in all honesty I'd say both modes are pretty hard. You're limited in the amount of ammo you have, and while some will drop upon you running out of ammo, it can sometimes be a challenge to safely reach it. There's a melee attack, but it's not particularly strong. I didn't find it something to be relied upon when you're in a pinch. It tends to work automatically when you're close to an enemy, but if you're near multiple baddies or even just one large one, you usually come off the worse for wear after making close contact. It is surprising that you don't just get unlimited ammo of the base weapon, but it's one of the features that does add to the difficulty of this game, so I'm sure this is something that the developers were aiming for here. In terms of weapons, there's a good amount of variety on offer. You can pick up grenades, shotguns, rocket launchers, ray guns, flamethrowers, you name it. The only issue with this though is that you pick them up for a limited amount of time only. They won't last too long and then you're back to the base weapon again. There's no way of saving them for a boss fight or anything like that. In fact, depending on the situation that you're in, sometimes the super weapon that you've just picked up is actually not as super as it might seem. Sometimes it's more effective to just hammer it down with the base weapon fire. Still, overall the variety of weapons is appreciated as it does mix things up while you're blasting your way around from room to room. As you kill off the enemies, you'll notice that some drop dog tags that will stay on the ground for a limited amount of time. Pick these up and you can use them towards different upgrades for your soldier after each level. You can choose to upgrade your health, your speed, the amount of ammo or grenades that you can carry, the power of your grenades, or you can pick up a protective gas mask or an elixir that will give you an extra continue when you do hit the deck. It's a really cool system in my opinion and adds some variation to your playthroughs in terms of what you want to prioritise. On top of this, the 2 different soldiers start with different base stats, so that again offers another chance for a different type of playthrough. The boss battles in the game are a real tough challenge, as you'd expect at this point, but they're all really well crafted and they all look great, they really pop on screen. One final note on the difficulty is that sadly if you play on the easy difficulty, then you can't see the real ending to the game. That's a shame in my opinion, as this is a rather harsh approach towards a lot of players trying to give this game a go without investing hours into perfecting it. As mentioned, co-op mode is available, and after playing some with my brother I can confirm it does help slightly alleviate that steep challenge. You can even revive your comrade, as long as you can survive the room that you're in for long enough to do so. To give a bit more of a background on this title, the game was backed by a Kickstarter campaign and released on multiple retro platforms such as the Mega Drive, the Dreamcast and the Neo Geo back in 2019, as well as then receiving releases across current day platforms like Steam, Xbox One, the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch as well. In November 2020 the game came to the Evercade, but it was not alone. As most cartridges feature a multitude of games, it was arranged for this to be the first dual game cartridge release, pairing it up with the 2018 puzzle platformer Tanglewood. Now if you were to pick up each game on Steam individually, it would currently set you back about £16 for Xenocrisis and about £14 for Tanglewood, a total value of £30 for the two digital downloads. Picking up a physical release of both on the Evercade, however, will only cost about £15 to £18 depending on where you buy it. This is some really great value and a feather in the cap for a humble little system like the Evercade. Overall, I'd have to give Xenocrisis a hearty recommendation. Yes, it is hard, very very hard in fact, but it's a super game, really fun to play and a great looking and sounding experience. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 score. If you've got a VS console and a pal ready to join you, then pick this up and get to fighting.
All clear.